We're going to go over how to paper a crate, but it's pretty hard to remember to do it exactly because there are so many steps. So we have created a cheat sheet that you can follow when you're first learning how to paper the kennel. Okay, in this segment we're going to learn how to clean the ICU crates. These are done once a day after we've treated the bird, and doing them properly means that they are clean and healthy for the bird, and it means that there's a whole lot less work for you or whoever is going to clean the kennel the next day. Start by pulling out this trolley, and we're going to put the crate on the trolley. And take it out of ICU so that we don't disturb the other birds that are in ICU. If the white sheet that's covering the kennel is dirty, put it in the laundry. Remove the clips from the crate. There should be 3. You can take the door off, and that should be washed. And just flip the top off. If there's any food left over in the crate, that should be weighed and recorded in the bird's chart, and we'll go over that later. Any dirty towels, remove shredded paper. This is the water dish, that's going to be washed as well. And they go in the laundry. Now, if the crate was papered properly, you should be able to fold down the sides and then roll the dirty paper up in a bundle. And then you can put it in the garbage. Someone did a good job of papering this kennel. You can see that there is no poop on the entire kennel. It almost looks clean. But even if it looks clean, we go ahead and spray it down, both top and bottom. Spray is kept to the left of the sink, and the towels are kept in the white cabinet. We usually use a blue towel for wiping down, but you can use any rag. And then your towel goes in the laundry when you're done. Okay, this is the most important part to get right, and that's papering the kennel. Once again, this is so that the kennel is easily cleaned the next day. Start with 2 layers of full-size newspaper. Do not use the small handouts. So we've got 2 layers of the full size. Lay it in the bottom of the crate. And then we're going to do another set of full-size 2 layers. One important thing to keep in mind is that the eagles will squirt out the door. So we want all of this part of the kennel completely covered. So the next step, you can take the smaller size paper and once again 2 layers and lay it out the door. Now we're back to the full size papers. Once again 2, and we're going to go all the way around the kennel. Now a lot of people have trouble remembering whether the paper goes like this. One hint is think in terms that the eagle needs to be able to read the paper, and then you'll get it right. Make sure your paper wraps around the end. This is critical because there's a lot of pooping that goes on right in this area. You can put a clip on to hold the paper in place while you get your next set of, once again, 2 full-size papers. And we're just going to go all the way around the edge of the crate. So there will be 2 sets on the sides and 1 set on the back. And as I come to the end, I make sure I have enough to wrap around. Now we're going to layer the bottom one more time, and this is when you can use any size of paper. We're just adding paper for absorbency. So this is a good time to use these funny sized flyers and the other smaller pieces of paper. Okay, we're ready to put the top back on. Now the clips, they do not go out the side like we had them before, they go out the front. The reason they don't go out the side is because we can't put the kennels next to each other if they're on the side. So they go out the front, and then there's one attached to the back. And then let's put our crate back in ICU. Let's go on over to the scale, which is in the other room. We use a digital scale. Turn it on and let it warm up for just a second. It always goes straight to pounds, so you need to put it into kilograms. Then we weigh the food and the bowl. 0.09. We've got a dry erase board if you want to write that down. Then we're going to throw away the food. And go back to the scale. Now we're going to weigh our empty container. 0.02. I'm going to subtract so that I know actually how much food was in there. And this is in kilograms. So that is equal to 70 grams. Most of the food is weighed in grams, not kilograms. Next, I'm going to go to the bird's chart. The charts are kept in these bins. Let's see here where this bird's chart is. I'm going to open it, and in here we can see that we didn't fill this out. I'm going to edit. Okay. So in looking at the chart, we can see that we have a date, column for the date, how much the bird was fed, and how much it ate. So yesterday was January 21st. This bird was fed 250 grams. I know, because I weighed the food, that there were 70 grams left of food. I can pull out a calculator if I need to and subtract 250 minus 70 grams left over. That bird ate 180 grams of food. So in that column, I'm going to write 180 grams. Chances are if you're cleaning the kennel, you are involved in feeding the bird. And previously, today is January 22nd, we fed this bird 500 grams today, so I'm going to go ahead and put the 500 grams in the fed column.
Yes, okay, they're going to try to get Temp in a corner so that they can catch him with the blanket and try to prevent him from escaping along one of the walls. The trick is to move in quickly once you get there so that he can't escape. So hopefully both of them have a blanket up to protect themselves and to cover him when they catch him. And it looks like Jen is going to get him. Or Dr. Vosberg got him. She's covering him with the blanket and just bundling him up to lift him into her arms. And once he gets in her arms, then Jen can figure out where the legs are. And that's about it. Right now Jen is carefully looking for the right leg, and then she's going to give it to Dr. Vicky and make sure that she has it. And that's that. Here they come. Good job.
Wait, are you still filming?
I'm still talking. And now they're looking for the left leg, and she's going to pull it out, and Dr. Vosberg is going to say she's got it. And that's complete. The only problem is the blanket's hanging down a little bit by Vicky's feet. We don't want her to trip. Okay. And that's a successful capture.
Okay, we're upstairs now. We brought the eagle up from main flight. Jen has a hold of each leg, so she was able to safely walk up the stairs. But now it's time to put the hood on and take the blanket off in preparation for treatment. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the hood on. As the person holding the eagle, your job is basically just to hang on. We won't ask new volunteers to hood, but we'll go ahead and show you how it works. I don't let the eagle see. Remember that they are very visual. That's why we're hooding them. I'm pinching the bird's beak shut so it can't bite me. And I'm going to try to get the hood on without the bird even seeing me. I put some feathers through the back of the hood. That helps the hood to stay on. And go ahead and tighten it down. Notice how the bird looks as if it's asleep. But when you're holding the bird, don't be fooled. It can wake up suddenly and struggle. So always, always keep a hold of those feet. Next, I'm going to take the blanket off. The blanket often gets hooked on the wings. Your job is going to be to just listen to my instruction as I try to untangle this blanket. Sometimes people want to be helpful and they'll try to help untangle. That actually just makes things more confusing, so please just follow my direction. For starters, Jen, I'm going to have you put both feet in your left hand. Okay? Okay, and notice Jen gave me the signal that she's ready. So now we're going to try to get the blanket off of the right side. I've got the right wing out. Okay, Jen, why don't you put both feet in your right hand? See?
Okay.
Notice how I'm not standing in front of the bird. As the person holding the bird, one of the most important things you do is monitor the safety of the person you're working with. So if the person you're working with stands in front of you, remind them to go to the side. So now I'm going to take the blanket off of the left wing, and Jen is moving her arm. That's great. The last step is to remove the blanket from the back of the bird. So Jen is going to have to hold the bird while I pull the blanket down. Sometimes the tendency is for the bird to go with it and flip backwards a little bit, so I'll be holding onto the bird to help Jen support it. Your job and Jen's job will be to let me know if you're losing control of the bird, and we will immediately stop and readjust. It's okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. And Jen still has both feet in one hand. That's okay. Sometimes we may ask you to put one foot in each hand. Now we've got the blanket off, and we're going to have Jen take a seat. Okay, now we're going to film how to transfer the eagle from one person to another. Remember, communication is the most important part of a transfer. Okay, Jen, I'd like you to take the left foot in your left hand. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the body of the eagle to Jen when I count to 3. She's going to keep a hold of the left foot. I'm going to keep a hold of the right foot. So on 3, Jen. 1, 2, 3. Now notice how Jen brought her right foot up, her right hand, so she's actually supporting the wing already. I still have the right foot. Okay, Jen, go ahead and take the right foot. Now the transfer is complete. Okay, this section we're going to talk about the different ways to hold an eagle based on the different medical treatments that we're going to do. We'll start out with how to hold an eagle when we're going to take its temperature. We do this on almost every eagle right when it is admitted to the clinic. So, as you can see, Jen already is in the standard holding position. She's got one foot in each hand, and for her to get ready to take a temperature, she's going to stretch the eagle legs up. Remember, you're not going to hurt the eagle. They're very flexible and they have very long legs. So Jen, go ahead and go into the temperature position. So, notice that she's got the legs up, and ideally the head is here. Your number one job is to protect the person working on the eagle. In this position, the talons are away from me and the beak is away from me. I'm going to be working right in this area here, taking the temperature. The next position we're going to talk about is the basic standard holding position. Jen is already in it. She has one foot in each hand. For most people, this is the safest position. And that's because these eagles are incredibly strong. And it's often better to have one foot per hand. Occasionally, people prefer to put both feet in one hand as their standard position. As a beginner, I'd like you to have 1 foot per hand until I tell you otherwise. Also notice that Jen has the eagle dropped down and away from her face. Even though the bird is hooded, you never know when it might wake up and turn around. Whenever the hood is off, please, if you're holding the bird, sit quietly. The bird has no idea that there is someone behind them that they can bite if you stay quiet. Notice that Jen is touching almost the entire bird all the way around. We refer to this as 5 points of contact. One point of contact here, she's holding the foot. The other is the other foot. With her forearms, she's holding the wings in, and she has the bird's back snugged up to her stomach. If the bird were to struggle, as opposed to going like this, she would crunch in, and that would help to increase the points of contact and calm the bird down and reduce injury from struggling. Okay, the next hold we're going to go to is the hold we use for drawing blood. Once again, your job is to keep me safe, so this hold is designed for that. Jen, I'd like to draw blood from the right leg. So what she's going to do is extend the right leg for me to access. That's where we draw the blood. And here she has taken the left leg, crossed it across the bird's chest, so she's keeping the talons away from me. She also is preventing the bird from coming down to bite me. Often when drawing blood, your hand is right where I need to be, so I'm going to ask you to back your hand up. Do not do that until the proper communication has taken place.
Can you flip his head?
Oops. Yep. Notice how Jen just asked me to move the bird's head. That was excellent communication. Her job is to keep me safe and let me know when things aren't right, because I'm often distracted with doing the medical treatments. Okay, so Jen's in my way. I'm going to have her move her hand, but she's not going to do it until I tell her to. I have control of the right leg now. Go ahead and back your hand up about 1 inch. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Once again, we communicated. I did not let go of the leg until Jen told me that she had a firm hold. So in drawing blood, I'm going to work on this area of the leg right here. And I'm going to draw my blood. The next hold we're going to describe is the one we use when we're examining the wings. I'm going to start by examining the right wing. So Jen is going to place both feet in her left hand. Notice how she put one finger between the 2 feet. Most people, especially people with small hands, find that it is much easier to control the bird if your index finger is between the 2 feet. Next, she is going to use her arm to protect me from the bird's beak. I'm going to come up under her arm and extend the wing. Now, it's very common for this part of the arm to fall down and interfere with the wing exam, so I may ask you to lift your elbow up while I'm examining the wing. This is not a normal wing. And for the other side, it's the exact opposite. For the left side of the wing, Jen is going to place both feet in the right hand. She's going to protect me from the beak. And I'm going to extend another abnormal wing. Okay, the next hold we are going to discuss is the way we hold the bird when we're going to give it sub-Q fluids, or fluids under the skin. Let's do it on the right side, Jen, so go ahead and get into position. Once again, she is protecting me from the bird. She's keeping the talons away from me. She's keeping the beak away from me. We give the fluids into a little flap. That's where the leg meets the body. So she's holding the leg out for me. Sometimes I may ask you to reposition based on where the flap is and the individual bird. And then we'll just give them right in here. Okay, now we are going to tube feed the eagle. Ideally, we have 3 people involved in this, and one person is standing on the other side of Jen wearing a leather glove protecting her. We don't always have the luxury of a 3rd person, so we're going to talk about how we do it when we only have 2 people available. Okay, Jen is going to go ahead and place both feet in her left hand, placing a finger in between each foot.
Okay.
Her right hand is going to be supporting the chest and holding the wings in a little bit. Next, what's going to happen is I am going to take the hood off and put the tube into the bird's mouth. Jen will then be taking the tube from me so that I can pour the liquid down the tube. One thing to keep in mind, if you're the one holding the bird, do not speak during this process unless it's necessary for safety reasons. If the bird doesn't know you're there, it's less likely that the bird will turn around and bite you in the face. Also notice how low the bird is. Jen is keeping the bird as far away from her face as possible. As you can see, these birds can be very aggressive and dangerous. Okay, go ahead and take the tube. Jen's also going to be watching in the mouth to make sure none of the liquid comes back up. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I've never let go of the bird's head, but if it were to vomit, I might be forced to let go, and that's the time to really be quiet. The next position we're going to do is the leg examination position. I'm going to examine the right leg, so I'm going to have Jen cross the left leg over the front of the bird. Go ahead. Now, notice how flexible this bird is. New volunteers worry about hurting the bird. These birds are very flexible and these legs are very, very long. She's getting the talons away from me, and she's protecting me from the bird's beak. Go ahead and extend the right leg. Here's a very important area for communication. As we talked about in the safety portion, never, never, never let go of the legs until you're told to do so. So she's not going to let go of that leg until I tell her. Okay, I have the leg, go ahead and let go. So then I'm going to examine the leg, and I will return the leg to her. Go ahead. And
Okay.
I will not let go until she tells me that she's got it.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, this next segment we're going to learn how to weigh the eagle. When we weigh eagles, we restrain them because we can't touch them while they're on the scale. Jen, please extend the right leg. And I'm going to have you back your hand up. I have the foot. Go ahead and back your hand up.
Okay.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're putting a strap around the legs so they can't struggle. Okay, Jen, go ahead and put the legs either next to each other or cross them over. That's good. Okay, we've got the legs restrained. The next thing we're going to do is restrain the wings. The way this works is, this is our wrap. As the handler, the person holding the eagle, you are going to face me. Your job is feet and beak, all the dangerous things. My job is wings. Often the bird struggles during this transfer, so be prepared. And one way to stop the bird from struggling is to stretch it. So once the bird has been laid down, stretch the head and stretch the legs, and I'll take care of the wings. So we always put the feet in the hand that is away from the table. I'm going to come up under your arms to restrain the wings. And on 3, we'll transfer the bird to the table. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, notice how Jen has this bird stretched. The legs are down, she's got the beak. She's in charge of all the dangerous parts. I am going to wrap the wings. And now the bird is fairly well restrained. Jen's job will then be to transfer the bird to the scale while I read the scale. I'll go ahead and turn the scale on. Now, when you're the one transferring, safety is number 1. Don't let go of that bird until you feel comfortable that everything is safe. When you let go and you feel things are safe, that's when you tell me to read the scale. The other thing to watch for is we don't want anything touching the table because that will affect the weight of the bird. Most commonly, it's the head that flops over and touches the table. So Jen, go ahead and transfer the bird to the scale. Notice how Jen angled the bird on the scale. That's what works best with this size scale. Now she hasn't let go of the feet because she doesn't feel comfortable. As soon as she does, she'll tell me when to read the scale.
Okay.
All right, I've got the reading, and as soon as I have the reading, Jen can go ahead and get the bird. Notice how the first thing she did was go for the feet. Always restrain the feet. And I can help her put that bird back in her arms on 3. 1, 2, 3. Now it depends on the bird. Sometimes we'll take this off with the bird in the person's arms. Sometimes we'll transfer it back to the table. Let's go ahead and transfer back to the table today. So once again, Jen's has the feet in the arm away from the table. She's in charge of the dangerous bits, the beak and the feet, and I'm in charge of the wings. On 3, we'll transfer. 1, 2, 3. She'll stretch the bird. We'll just do this in the opposite direction. And then on 3, we'll transfer back to her arms. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. There we go. And we can take these off. And Jen goes right back to the standard hold. Okay, the next thing we're going to demonstrate is how to lay the bird out to take an x-ray. We do this at almost every admit, so this is a common procedure. First, we're going to tie the feet together to help with restraint. Jen, please extend the right leg. And put the legs together. Okay, we have the feet restrained. Similar to weighing, Jen is going to be in charge of the head and the feet, and I am going to be in charge of the wings. We're going to lay the bird down on the x-ray. So Jen has both feet in the arm that is away from the table, and on 3 we'll be moving the bird to the table. 1, 2, 3. Just like when weighing, Jen stretches the bird. That helps to calm it down and gets it into the correct position. While she is holding the bird, I will then actually be taping the bird to the film. The next step is that I will go behind the LED screen and get ready to take the picture. When Jen feels that the bird is ready to lay here quietly, she will let go of the bird. That decision is up to her, and come around behind the LED screen with me. Jen, why don't you go ahead and let go of the bird when you're ready. The x-ray would then be shot. Coming back to get the bird is the most critical time. This is often when the bird startles and jumps around. So generally we get into position, and then the first thing that is touched is the feet, because they are the most dangerous. So let's get into position to pick the bird up. All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3. So we are all restraining the bird together. If you have a bird that struggles, we wait till the struggling has stopped, and then we go ahead and start taking the tape off. Okay, this is one of the most difficult things for new volunteers, and that's hand position when you're picking the bird up off the x-ray table. I like people to remember palm facing the floor, fingers facing the bird's head. So you can see Jen has her hand in proper position. She's then going to put her index finger in between the bird's legs. By doing it this way, the bird is now ready to be put into her arms, and her hand is in the proper position. So on 3, we'll move the bird into your arms. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, now we're going to show you where the safety goggles are located. Sometimes when we're working with eagles and other types of birds, you want to wear eye protection. So there is a little bit of eye protection safety goggles here in the corner, and you can just grab one that fits you and put them on. Sometimes they're not so easy to see through, but that's not what they're there for. Okay, another option if you don't feel comfortable with the safety goggles and you'd rather cover your whole face is we have masks that go over your whole head, and they're adjustable here in the back, and you can wear that as opposed to just the goggles. Okay, so at the Raptor Center, when you're working with eagles, we like to have you wear a leather welding coat and leather gloves, and we have a bunch of coats hanging on the coat rack here. They have different sizes marked on the back. This one is a large, so you can go through, find a coat that's most comfortable for you, because you want to be comfortable when you're sometimes having to hold an eagle for more than just 5 minutes. It's nice to have something that you feel comfortable in. And then in this bin we have various different sizes of gloves, so feel free to try on a couple different pairs, see which ones feel better on your hands, and then we're ready to go get the bird. Okay, when we're picking up a bird, either out of the kennel or going to capture one in the mew, we want to pick a blanket that we feel comfortable using. So we have a cabinet that has a lot of different sizes of blankets and towels in it. So you can come over and pick, pick a blanket that feels comfortable to you. Pick this one, and you want to unfold it and kind of have it ready to capture the bird with. So I like to hold the blanket so that the wider side is up instead of the shorter side. It gives you more room to cover the bird with. And then you want to take it at the top and kind of bunch it up a small amount so that when you go to cover the bird, you have this area to flip over the bird's head and cover the eyes so it can't see you. Okay, this is Puffy, and he is our stuffed eagle that we sometimes use to teach people or to have people practice holding a bird before they actually hold a live bird. So I'm going to show you the general method of holding an eagle, and we like to say that there's 5 points of contact when holding a bird. The first 2 are your hands, and each hand goes around one of the bird's feet, and then you have your arms that help hold the wings in, and the last point of contact is your stomach to the bird's back. So you want to hold a bird like this, and if it starts to struggle, you want to squeeze the bird closer, pull the legs in, and squeeze your arms in. If you, the tendency is kind of to want to let the bird push the bird away from you, and if you do that, they have a tendency to flip upside down. So you want to remember to squeeze your body. So with the birds, when they're in ICU and in the kennels, we have a lot of things that go along with the birds, like perches that are covered with AstroTurf, and they always have a door. And since the eagles tend to lift their tail and squirt backwards when they go to the bathroom, the doors tend to get really dirty. So if they're really, really dirty, we want to have them scrubbed every day. And then we have a bowl that the food goes in. So here at the sink, there's scrub brushes for you to use, sponges, and then this dispenser here has hand sanitizer, hand soap, and dish soap in it. So we like this system because it keeps the cupboard not crowded at all, and it's up on the wall and out of the way. So you just push the button and the soap comes out underneath. To scrub the perches, I like to use a scrub brush rather than a sponge. The brush can get right down into all the little grooves in the AstroTurf and really get it much cleaner than if you were just spraying it with the hose or using a sponge. Then with the dishes, you can either use the scrub brush or you can use the sponge, and we like to scrub those out really well, and then they just go to the side to drain and get put away later. And the perches also, we like to, after they're washed off, we like to spray them with the 222 that helps disinfect them and kill all the bacteria that you might not have gotten off of there with the scrubbing. So you just spray that down, and I would let it sit for for like 30 seconds or so, and then you want to rinse that off of the perch and put it to the side to let the perch dry. Okay, so the doors are sometimes really hard to get clean because there are so many little spots that the poo can get stuck on. So I like to put the whole door just right in the sink, take the scrub brush, put soap right on the brush, and then just scrub the entire door down. And you can use the spray nozzle to rinse all the soap off. And then the doors also go right over here to dry. And lean them up against the cupboard so they don't fall off. Or you can take them right back into the ICU unit and just let them dry on the hooks. In this corner is where we keep all the brooms and the mop, and there's a little vacuum here. When we clean the clinic, we like to sweep the floors and mop the floors, but you also need to use the vacuum because there's always a lot of little feathers around, and they drift into the corners and get stuck on the rug and things. So we like to have you vacuum also when you're mopping and sweeping. Okay, another part of the cleaning in the clinic area is to wipe down all the surfaces that are stainless steel and to change the towel. We use this table a lot, and so sometimes it gets dirty, and so it needs to be changed every day when you're done. So you can get a towel out of the cabinet in the other room, and you just take this towel off and then put a new towel on. If it looks like it's dirty underneath, you can spray it down with the 222, and then use a small blue towel or any other towel that you grab out of the cabinet and just wipe it down with the 222. And then take your clean towel and put it on. Okay, the scale, when we weigh food on the scale, sometimes the food will have been gotten on the bottom of the bowl, or there'll be poo on the bowl, so you want to make sure that you wipe the scale down every day, and just spray it again with the 222 and wipe it off with the towel. And the only other surface that you might have to worry about in here are the instrument trays that we use. And sometimes we usually keep a blue towel on them, like this tray over here. But sometimes, in a hurry, we don't always have a towel on it, and they'll get a little dirty. So, again, you just want to spray that down and wipe it off, and then it's good to go.
Good.
Are you okay? Okay, so here next to the blanket cabinet we have two whiteboards that help us to communicate things when you're gone for the week and you haven't been in, and then you come back. It's nice to be able to read the board and see what's happened during the week when you were out. So we have each day of the week, and then we have a space here for the keepers so that they know what type of diets we need for any birds that are in the ICU unit. They can just read the board and keep up with what's happening during the week. Okay, this board is located in the clinic by where we keep the medical charts, and it basically is here to so that we can keep track of the birds in main flight and the other caging areas. So in the main flight area, we write down the bird's name, what was wrong with the bird, why it came to us, and then usually in a different color, in black, we will write what color bands the bird has on its legs, so that when we go out to catch the bird, we can look up here and say, oh, we need to pick up Santa. He has a red band on one leg and a green band on the other leg. So when we get a bird in and it goes into ICU, we like to put it in a kennel with some shredded paper. So we have this old trash can that we keep filled with shred. So if you happen to come in and it's empty, we have lots of bags of shred around the ICU that you can use to fill the barrel with. And then when you put the paper in the kennel, we like to do it, we have a kind of a method to do it so that we don't end up with shred all over the floor. So you take the lid of the garbage can and take a handful of shred and just throw it on the lid. And then you can put the lid right up to the kennel and just toss it in there. Makes cleanup a lot easier at the end of the day. On the top shelf here in ICU, we have a bunch of newspapers and also some more bags of shred, so that if you ever come in, the shred barrel's empty, or we need to restock the cart with newspapers when we're cleaning kennels, that's where you can find it most of the time. Okay. There are times when we have birds in ICU that don't really need to be picked up every day, but we want to move them from a dirty kennel into a clean kennel. And we have a technique that we've used for years that is really works very well with the birds. We take the kennel that the bird is in and we slide it onto the kennel cleaning cart without removing the covering from the kennel. Helps to keep the bird a little more calm. So you just slide it off the shelf onto the kennel, and then you roll it over to the clean kennel. And when you do this, you need to remove the clips from both kennels so that you can get them as close together as possible. If you can find it. Okay, so then you slide the kennels together, and at this point you can lift the blanket up or pull it back, and then remove the door from the dirty kennel, and then the bird will go into the clean kennel, and then you can move the dirty kennel and put the door onto the clean kennel that the bird is now in. Okay. There are times when it's the first or second time maybe that the bird's done a walkthrough. It seems to take them a few tries to get it right. They just don't know what you want initially, so sometimes we have to help the bird move through the kennel into the clean kennel. So in cases like that, we usually take the blanket or sheet that's on top of the bird's kennel and remove the clip on the back, and you slide the blanket in between the two halves of the kennel, and then you can just move it forward, and it will help to push the bird into the clean kennel on the other side. And a walkthrough is something that can easily be done by one person. You don't necessarily need two people to do it. So if you're here and we haven't come in or we haven't left specific instructions, you can check and see if the bird just needs to be walked through, and go ahead and do the walkthrough and feed the bird.
Okay, now we're going to show you how to put the bird back into an ICU crate. Your job is going to involve a couple things. One, I want you to make sure that the tail is outside. If the tail is inside the kennel, you can see how the bird is going to have the tendency to flip backwards. So make sure the tail is outside the crate. The next is we want the tips of the wings or the wrists to be inside the kennel. That's because when we take the hood off the bird, it has a tendency to open its wings, and we want the wings to open on the inside of the kennel. My job is going to be to take the hood off before we get you all set up. I'm going to loosen the hood up. Then we're going to have you scoot right up to the kennel as close as you can so you're getting those wing tips in. On 3, I'm going to take the hood off and you're going to let the bird jump out of your arms. 1, 2, 3. You're going to stand there and block the door until I can bring a door up in place. If you're the one putting the door on, you can just put the door right through the holes in the newspaper. Take the clip off to get the door on. Reattach the clip. Go ahead and close the door. Okay, now we're going to film taking an eagle out of an ICU crate. Jen is ready with her leather jacket and her leather gloves. She's got her partner, me, and she's got her blanket, which is wadded up at the top. Different people like different sized blankets. As a new volunteer, I recommend you choose a very large blanket. It's easier and safer for the bird. Okay, we're going to start by lifting the cover off, and then Jen is going to immediately come up and cover the cage so that the bird doesn't get stressed out. I'm going to take the clips off so that we can then take the door off. I'll be doing this beneath the blanket so that the eagle doesn't get out of the cage. Notice how Jen stands there covering the cage nicely. My next job is to put the bottom of the blanket into the crate. Then Jen is ready to capture the bird. She'll use the blanket like a wall. Ideally, the bird will never see her, and she may never see the bird. She's just going to go in, lay the blanket over the bird, and come out with a ball of blanket and bird, and then we'll sort things out after that. So go ahead, Jen. Notice how she kept the blanket at the top of the crate. She does put the whole top half of her body in. The bird came out in a wad. She doesn't have wings, she doesn't have feet. That's okay. That's what we want. This is why we use the large blanket. That way it's safer for you and the bird. And notice that she took that part that she wadded up initially and she has thrown it over the bird's head. Next, we're going to undo everything. First thing I'm going to do is look for the left leg. Communication is very important here. As the person holding the bird, it's best if you just stand there and do what you're told. Okay, go ahead and take the left leg.
Got it.
It's really easy to want to help, but it's actually better if you don't help until you're asked. So now I'm looking for the right leg, and here it is. Go ahead and take the right leg, Jen.
Got it.
Okay. Now we've got the bird sorted out. Film it.
He wasn't he?
Okay. Now we're ready to put the bird back into the main flight. One of the important things to remember is that often you are dealing with injured birds who can't fly. So just dropping them could cause further injury. We like to make this as atraumatic as possible. So first thing we'll do is loosen up the hood, and then we're going to ask you to squat. If this is a problem with your knees, please tell the person you're working with. It's important that the tail is not caught on the ground because then the bird may flip backwards. On 3, I'll be taking off the hood and Jen will be giving a gentle push to the bird to get it away from her. Remember, it's gentle and we don't want the bird to drop very far. On 3. 1, 2, 3.